Everybody, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Today, I want to talk a little bit about this show called First Take and another show called Undisputed. And there have been some interesting adjustments on this show. These are sports shows, and I have some perspectives on it. You saw Shannon Sharpe just left Undisputed, and he went over to First Take, and then Undisputed just added some other co-hosts. But there's a part of the story that really isn't being covered that much by media. The part of the story that I think reflects the Black man's perspective. And also, I'm going to give you some financial angles to kind of look at. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about sports and the business of sports and the business of Black men in sports. And apparently there's been a new emerging industry of Black men who formerly played sports, talking about champions, gladiators, outstanding athletes who are now, making a couple dollars doing commentary on various sports networks. Of course, these networks are white owned. We tend to feel more comfortable when we're owned by white people. We know what it is. Come on, I'm not being cynical, but y'all know that's true. Come on now, give me a yes if you get what I'm saying. But out of respect for these guys, I think they're very good at what they do. I think that they're much more valuable than their paychecks might suggest. And I'm going to give you guys some perspective on this. Now, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Give me a yes if you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Let me know if my audio is coming through good. A Fisher says, shout me out. Well, you have been shouted out, brother. You have been shouted out. So everybody say hi to A. I just say A. I see A Fisher. So everybody say what's up, A. My name is Corey. How you doing? Terrence Ford, good to see you. I want to remind everybody also this podcast is on Spotify. If you go to Spotify, look up Boyce Watkins. You can find me on Spotify. And in addition to that, I want to remind everybody that I'm going to be in Los Angeles next week, the 8th and the 9th. My PhD's in finance. You guys know that. I'm going to do a 2-day Black Wealth training camp, and you can find out more by going to boycewatkins.com. So anyway, all right. Thank you, Dr. Vi, for confirming that you can hear me. And let me know how many of you have heard. Give me a yes if you've been following the interesting saga with my boy Shannon Sharpe and Shannon leaving this show called Undisputed, co-hosted with a guy named Skip Bayless. Does anybody watch that show? Does anybody else watch the show? It's a good show. These guys are good at what they do. Even Skip is good. I like Skip. I think that the brother, of course, I'm cheering for the brothers. I think the brothers are better, but I like Skip. And anyway, so Shannon Sharpe, if you don't know, Shannon Sharpe has some issues apparently with the show, or at least that's what people were saying. So Shannon made kind of what it was seen as an epic move at the time. Shannon actually moved over from Undisputed, which is on Fox Sports, if I'm not mistaken, over to ESPN. Apparently, ESPN and Fox Sports have sort of formed this rivalry that is a business rivalry, and it's one of those things that is intriguing to watch. And it's also intriguing for me because I was a Disney shareholder for a long time. And so whatever happens with ESPN was always of interest to me because, when they make money, I make money, or at least for a while until I sold my Disney stock. I'm not sure how much faith I have in the company anymore. But anyway, so Arnold Hunter. So here's what happened. So today I was checking out the show right now. Now, here's the funny thing. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have time to watch TV. I'm gonna tell you the truth, brothers. I hope that that in between watching TV, you're out here going to get your money, get your success, creating opportunities for yourself. One thing I can tell you is that I know guys with ESPN. I know guys with these networks. One guy you've seen on this platform, Chris Broussard. He's not with ESPN. He's with Fox Sports. And another guy named Nick Wright. Nick Wright, who's on Fox Sports, used to be He used to be the producer of my radio show back when I was in Syracuse, and he was a college student. I was so proud of him when he blew up the way that he did. He's doing a great job. He's really good at what he does. Anyway, one thing that I remember hearing from some of the friends that I knew with the network is this, and this is something I think Black people should understand. Does anybody notice? What do you notice about this picture? Do you notice how many Black men are in this picture? Do you notice that when Skip Bayless picked all his new co-hosts to replace the great Shannon Sharpe, did he pick any white boys? Yes or no? Are there any white boys other than Skip Bayless in this picture? Yes or no? Did he pick any Asian women? Are there any Asian women on this platform? I mean, there's plenty of Asian women in the world. Why wouldn't they have a co-host that's an Asian woman? Are there any, I don't know, Latin men or Arab men? Like anything? Is there anything other than brothers in this picture? What do y'all see? Well, I point this out not because I have a problem with that. I mean, I love it. I cheer for the brothers. I want to see them. I want to see them get all the good jobs, right? They deserve it. I mean, these poor guys. They go to the NFL. They take all them hits to the head, body get jacked up. But these guys right here, I'm telling you, I follow Keyshawn Johnson. He's a champion. I follow Richard Sherman. He's a champion. I follow Michael Irvin. I've been a Cowboys fan since I was 4. He's a champion. These are some great athletes, and Sherman is one of my favorites because Sherman ain't just a champion on the field. He's also a brilliant young man. So anyway, the interesting thing about this picture to me is that this reflects something that a Tweety Bird told me who worked for one of the major networks. And one of the things that he informed me of is that a lot of these networks feature lots of Black men on these shows because this started when Obama was president. And they said that the Black male unemployment rate was incredibly high. They noticed that Black men, they talking about you now. They're talking about you. They said they noticed that Black men, because they are the most likely to be unemployed, they're also most likely to be the ones sitting at home on the couch during the day watching ESPN. Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew that? How many? I bet you didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that. So the networks, these white-owned networks that study Black people, that study what we do and how we behave and what we watch, because we watch more TV than everybody else, they said, wait a minute, there are lots of Black men sitting at home watching sports all day and watching these talk shows, so we're going to get Black men on the air because they can speak that language. And so I'm not saying this is information for you to be outraged about. I'm not saying this is something that should make you hate ESPN. I'm simply stating something that should be a matter of just, factual information that you kind of put in your pocket to understand the bigger picture. Okay. So I watched this Undisputed show. I've seen it before. I've seen Shannon Sharpe on there. He does a great job. I've seen I saw the new guys. Again, I know all these players because I'm a sports fan, man. I love all the sports. I played my whole life. I played every sport. I played basketball, football. I didn't do baseball. My biological father was a great baseball player, but he wasn't around to raise me. So I never learned how to play baseball. But I did do track. I did football, basketball, and track. So I've always been a big sports fan. I got my PhD from Ohio State University. So every year when Ohio State acts like they're trying to win a championship, I'm always super excited because I love football. At the same time, I have the obvious contradiction that any intelligent Black man should have, which is that football has been proven to cause a lot of brain damage. A lot of your Black boys grow up and they start getting the brain damage around high school, maybe even middle school. And unfortunately, once the NFL decides they don't want them anymore, the NFL should stand for not for long because the average career span is about 2.3 years. They dump them back into our neighborhoods. And so whenever you see a former NFL player get into a situation where he had some type of rage and did something, beat somebody up, killed them, dragged them by the hair, whatever, I always instantly think about CTE, which is the type of brain damage that they have. I think this is more prevalent than people talk about. I think it's more common than people suggest. I think it's something that Black people should be aware of because that's what they're doing to your boys. They're getting millions of your Black boys pumped up to play football. I was one of them. I begged my mother to take me to football practice. Thank God she wouldn't let me. My father that raised me, he was technically my stepfather, but he's really my dad. He didn't care. He didn't care about sports. He'd say, boy, I don't care nothing about no sports. Stay in your books. That's what he would tell me. And but I wanted to play football because I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy. That was my goal when I was 8 or 9 years old. My mother did not let me play. And honestly, in hindsight, I'm glad she did not. Okay. Now, with that being said, these guys paid the price. They paid their dues. They walked away as champions. I don't know what the long-term consequences were, but I'm going to imagine Michael Irvin, as many hits as he took, he's probably got some body aches and some issues going on possibly. I don't know, though, but I can't say for sure. Now, So they're on this show. The show is called Undisputed, which is a rival to First Take. In case you want to know what happened, basically Shannon Sharpe went across the street to ESPN to get the money that he truly deserves. I think with Undisputed, he was making $3 million a year, which was far less than what he's worth. His co-host, the white guy Skip, was getting $6 million a year. Now Shannon has left, and now I think Shannon's probably getting something at least double what he was getting before. Shannon became the star of the show. Shannon deserves all that money. Now First Take has a huge advantage where they've got Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe doing excellent analysis along with other co-hosts that come in. At the same time, I'm going to argue that Undisputed got better too. Undisputed brought in some really great guys. I can't say I'm as familiar with Keyshawn Johnson's commentary, but I do know Michael Irvin brings energy. He understands what it means to be on camera. He was always interesting and animated, even as a player. Richard Sherman is super smart and has a lot of energy too. So it looks like a great show. It actually looks better, honestly. I would say those three guys together is better than just Shannon Sharpe by himself. That's what I'm going to go ahead and speculate and say. Now, with that said, though, I'm going to say this. I'm going to be honest with you. When I look at this picture and I see this white guy, surrounded by all these brothers, it kind of reminded me, so the white guy comes out first, Skip Bayless, and he is basically – he's getting everybody hyped up, and he's talking about how he loves. First of all, he starts off giving a tribute to Lil Wayne, who made the theme song for the show, and he says, "My main man, Lil Wayne." And I said, "Oh Lord, here he is pandering right to black people," and then he brings in all the guys, and it kind of gave me this feeling, almost like a prison plantation feeling. It just does. It's like I know why Michael Irvin is there. He won all these Super Bowls, and he was the baddest wide receiver out here. I know why Keyshawn Johnson's out there. Keyshawn, if I'm not mistaken, won a Super Bowl. Maybe he didn't. Tell me if I'm wrong. But Keyshawn won a Super Bowl. He's a great athlete. Richard Sherman went to Stanford, and he won a Super Bowl, and one of the best defensive backs in the league, one of the best in history, I dare say. I can understand why he's on the show. I'll admit I don't understand why the little tiny white guy's on the show, other than the fact that he's the boss. He is the headmaster. He is the overseer of the prison plantation. That's what it feels like. It has that feel, that same type of energy, to be honest with you. And I'm going to be honest and say that it irks me just a little bit. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to be there, but actually from a different demographic standpoint, you kind of need the white guy to be in there to represent that part of the demographic, right? Black people are not the only ones who watch sports. So maybe having him there kind of balances things out in a good way, but it does feel like a prison plantation. I'm not going to lie. The other thing that's interesting here in terms of shows like this, and it's very important to understand this from a business standpoint, is that even though they put lots of black people on these shows, these are not your shows. You might think that a show is a black show because they've got black people on it, right? A lot of people think that Black Panther is a black movie because they have black people on it. Just like a lot of people thought the show A Different World was a black show because they had black people on it. And what you want to make sure you understand is that this ain't your show. This is not a black show. This is a white show that has black characters, that has black personalities on it, that is leveraging black talent. It is not much different from watching the Dallas Cowboys play, where you see the brothers on the field, but Jerry Jones sitting up in the owner's box. It's no different from almost any other sport where you see the black guys doing all the work and the white guy owning the actual business, or go walking into your favorite car wash and you see all the brothers working and washing cars. And then, Mr. Charlie comes in and collects all the money and walks away after he gives everybody their tiny little cut. And so effectively, one of the things that's left to be desired is, I think, long term, there should continuously be conversations about black-owned media. There has to be black-owned media, because effectively what's happening is that, according to Dr. Claude Anderson, the author of Powernomics, you consistently, as black people, engaged in what he refers to as the doctrine of unequal exchange. The doctrine of unequal exchange basically says that you're giving other people more than they're giving you. You give them this much, you give them this much, they give you that much, right? And the transaction works in their favor. Why? Well, because there's a balance of power in terms of mindset, right? We raise our boys to be football players. They raise their boys to be football team owners. We want to go work for the Dallas Cowboys. They actually created the Dallas Cowboys, right? We want to go and be seen on TV and be flashy, whereas they don't want to necessarily be seen on TV. They want to own the TV network, right? So it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with with what these guys do. I think that black men and black women have extraordinary athletic talent. Somebody asked me earlier, did I see the 4x1 in the World Championships? Heck yeah, I did. You know I did. I saw the women, Sha'Carri Richardson sprinting across that line. Literally Sharika Jackson made up no ground on her. Sha'Carri's amazing as a sprinter. I also saw my boy Noah Lyles finish up the 4x1 in extraordinary fashion. He's the world champion in the 100 meters, 200 meters, and the 4x1. Noah Lyles is a bad boy. If you haven't checked out Noah Lyles, I encourage you to do that. I saw all these things, and that is an expression and an exemplification of the extraordinary nature of black talent. We are the most talented people on the planet, particularly because we've gone through the most, right? No other group of people can say that they've gone through the Middle Passage, brutal slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, and the war on drugs, and still came out shining, right? I think that says something special about us. That says that we're amazing in that way, and I think that sports is one reflection of that, right? But one of the challenge that we have is that we get stuck in a situation where other people seem to get more of the benefits than we do, right? We get the sort of celebrity power, they get the institutional power. Celebrity power is nice, but it tends to be individualistic. It's one guy sitting up there saying, look at me, right? Institutional power is where you can literally create thousands of jobs. If you look at ESPN's interesting to me because right now Disney, which I was a shareholder in Disney for a long time, is selling a stake of ESPN. Amazon is thinking about buying a stake in ESPN. And in a way, it ends up looking like, not to say that it is, but it ends up looking like Disney saying, hey, we've got this network. We've got a bunch of Negroes on this network. We will sell our Negroes to you for a certain price. And Amazon, run by Jeff Bezos, who's talking to Bob Iger, says, hey, I'll buy those boys. I'll buy those boys for 3 ears of corn and a bottle of pig's feet, sir. And they're literally doing an auction. They're auctioning. He's selling a stake of ESPN, which is built on a lot of the talent and the skill and the energy from our men, right? Michael Irvin and the other guys, they get their money, which isn't bad money, by the way. It's decent. It's not bad, but it's obviously peanuts compared to what Bob Iger or Jeff Bezos makes, but it's not bad. It's not like I'm making fun of the amount of money that they make, but it's still something where it requires a lot of energy. I saw Irvin doing his thing. Irvin's like, no, you can't go. The Dallas Cowboys, they're gonna win. Dak is your quarterback. Dak is your right. Like that's the theatrics. Do you understand? Do y'all get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be funny here. I'm trying to be honest, right? These are the theatrics that we see from the drunk uncle at the barbecue, right? A lot of us grew up around that, right? So we like that, right? We love that. We love to see it. But the thing about it is I think that sometimes as black men, we got to stop and kind of ask ourselves, is somebody just basically marketing what could be defined, not to say that it is, but it could be defined as almost like a type of buffoonery. Right? They like the entertainment. They're like, why don't you act black? So if you show up and you're black and you just say, I don't really want to yell. I ain't really trying to entertain white folks like that. I'm not trying to be a cartoon character. I'm just a human being. Like I say, and I've been on some of the ESPN shows, by the way. I was on a show, Stephen A. Smith had a show called Quite Frankly with Stephen A. Smith. And even though I know that Stephen A. Smith takes legitimate criticism from a lot of people, including my friend Willie D, Stephen A., I will tell you the truth, his staff treated me extremely well. I was on there maybe 2 or 3 times. Once I was on there with him and Method Man and Damon Wayans was there and stuff like that. And I liked the fact that I was able to go in this space as a black man and have them just say, hey, Dr. Watkins, what do you think about this? Dr. Watkins, what do you think about that? And that to me it was a nice balance in the sense that it allows us to remember that black men are more than just loud, audacious athletes, right? There's more than one way to express your manhood, right? There's more than one way, right? You can do the Michael Irvin, like, no, the Cowboys are coming back. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones, we want to get Jerry Jones a championship. They won 12 games last season, right? All that extra energy, I think that puts us in a little bit of a box. It puts us in a little bit of a box because as black men, we tend to only get certain opportunities with white-owned media if we show up in a certain way. Give me a guess if you know what I'm talking about. Black men tend to get opportunities. I can explain. Y'all want me to explain? Y'all want me to break it down for you real quick? Because I'm a finance guy, so I put things in categories. I'm a statistician. I see right. So here's what I see. Black men, you ready? Black men tend to be most famous if we do the following. If we can show up and bust a rap like Lil Wayne did, or he did it on the show. if we can throw a football like a Michael Irvin or catch a football, dribble a basketball like LeBron or something like that. Tell a joke. They bring black comedians onto ESPN sometimes. What's another one? Dribble basketball, throw a football, tell a joke, bust a rap. That's pretty much it. Those are the main areas, right? Those are the main areas that black men tend to get recognized the most, right? So when you show up and you say, no, I can't, I don't run the 40-yard dash in 4.4 seconds. I can't dunk a basketball. No, I'm not 6'8", 240 pounds. I'm not very funny. No, I can't rap like Lil Wayne. They're like, oh, well, we don't really need you around here, around these parts. We need our boys to be talented. Our boys, they can rap with the best of them. They and so the funny thing to me, the interesting thing to me, the thing you got to kind of notice here is if you look at this picture, let me put this picture on the screen so we can kind of analyze this. If you look at this picture, look at those three guys on that screen. And I say this with all due respect to everybody that's out there doing this, right? So I love these guys. I really do. So I want to make that clear. Every single one of these men in this picture, except the little guy with the melanin deficient guy, every single one of these men is one of the best on earth at what he does. Every single one of these men had to be literally 1 in 100,000. Every single one of these men is exceptionally strong, exceptionally fast, exceptionally skilled. Every single one of these men has won a Super Bowl. I mean, do you know how hard that is? It's hard as hell to win a Super Bowl. So the thing is, what this does, unfortunately, for black men, for the non 6'4", 240-pound black men out here, is it says that in white-owned media and white-owned institutions, there's really not much of a place for you, right? There's not much of a place for you because if you're not showing up as the athlete, the rapper, or the comedian, in many cases, they don't have an opportunity for you. They don't have a space for you. They don't understand where your value might be. And I personally, honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth, I kind of resent that. I resent that. And one of the things I appreciate about Stephen A. Smith's show was I enjoyed the fact that I had black men who did play their sports, but Stephen A. would also bring in other black journalists who were super smart guys who knew what they were talking about. He would bring in doctors and scientists and lawyers and professors. And it's like, wow, this is cool because we're learning that the black man is more than just an athlete. He's more than just a comedian. He's more than just a rapper. Right. And I don't know if most American institutions really believe that or get that. Okay. Now, anyway, do me a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I have a new book out. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy at my website, boycewatkins.com. Also have other book series like Black American Money, things like that. In fact, if you want to get autographed copies of my books, we have a family business. All right, my kids run the family business, and they can actually ship you an autographed copy of the book. Just go to drboycebooks.com and just click on the section that says autographs. Also, I'm going to be in Los Angeles next week doing a 2-day Black Wealth training camp. And it's mostly, I'm going to center this one mostly around, of course, we could talk about stocks and stock options and all that, but I'm centered mostly around brand building, independent brand building, independent platform building, independent monetization of your talent so that you don't end up having to serve these institutions. You can actually create institutions of your own. Because remember, the NFL started off with a bunch of guys who got together and they were selling teams like the Cleveland Browns and the Green Bay Packers for like $100, $200, Chicago Bears, $50. And now they became these amazing institutions that we're all trying to work for. Well, I want our kids to do that now. I want our people starting these institutions. I want our people starting these sports leagues. I want us to shift our mindset and start thinking more in terms of ownership than in terms of just looking for the best job available. Okay. So no disrespect to any of these guys. That's just my 2 cents. Okay. So let me see here. Let me go through some of your questions real quick so we can kind of so I can kind of address some of that. Let me see here. Someone says the white guy in the middle, Skip, can be average and succeed in America. Right. That's it. Right. So that's the funny thing, right? All three of those guys in that picture are the best on earth at what they do, damn near. I mean, talking about top 1% of the top 1%. The melanin deficient guy, that's just a regular guy. That's just a regular guy. Or like Chris Rock said, he said, I live in a neighborhood with Mary J. Blige And somebody else famous, he said, that lives in his neighborhood, all these super famous people, he said, I had to be one of the best in the world at what I do to live in that neighborhood. Mary J. Blige had to be one of the best in the world. He said the other guy's just a dentist. He's not the best dentist in the world. He's not a super dentist. He's not an amazing dentist. He's just a regular dentist, right? And so I would, my goal, my dream is to say that at some point, I'm hoping that we can have a space where the black guy who becomes the dentist can have the same lifestyle as the brother who played in the NFL, right, or the NBA. There's not enough space for everybody, and I really think that that's a problem. I also, let me just say this as a side note, I was really happy to see Michael Irvin on that show. I don't know if y'all saw, but Michael Irvin, they did him dirty. They falsely accused him of doing something with this lady, and she made up a story, and they didn't even validate it or verify it, and they just fired him from the NFL Network. Pretty much fired him, if I'm not mistaken. They let him go, suspended him, something like that, and he was very upset about it. And my heart went out to him in that situation, because I think that was something that's relatable for a lot of brothers. This is why I tell you, don't let your son grow up and not know how to start his own business. Don't let your son grow up thinking he could just work for other people for the rest of his life, because at some point life is going to slap him in the face and treat him unfairly. And you want him to have an option. You want him to have an out. You want him to have a solution that does not involve just sitting around and smoking weed and laying around with women and wasting his life because he's given up on life, right? You want him to be able to say, okay, you know what? I can't, you won't let me through the door. I'm gonna either bust through it, or I'm gonna go around, or I'm gonna go over, or I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna create a path for myself. And this is a good sports analogy. I was talking to a young black man, and I said, in life, a black man needs to be a playmaker. I said, you know what a playmaker is? He said, yeah. I said, yeah, you want to be a playmaker. A playmaker is a guy who can create his own opportunities. A playmaker is a guy who can take an ordinary situation and make it into something special. A playmaker is like in football, Deion Sanders was a playmaker because he could take a boring game and make it an exciting game. So your son needs to be a playmaker, an economic playmaker. An economic playmaker is a guy who can take a situation where it looks like there is no money and he can find a way to get money. An economic playmaker is a guy who looks around and if somebody says there's no opportunities, well, he can make an opportunity, right? So train your children things like entrepreneurship and investing, so that when they get older, they can become economic playmakers, so that just in case white America doesn't open that door and roll out the red carpet because he got the bachelor's degree and the MBA and all these other credentials where he deserves the job, you want him to be able to go in there and create the job. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to be an economic playmaker if you're black in America. You cannot lean on systems. Again, just like in sports. In sports, they have systems where you decide who's going to get the ball and how many dribbles they got to take and all this other stuff. Well, the system ain't built for you. The system's not designed to give you the ball, black man. The system's not designed to let you dunk it. The system's designed for him to dunk. Your job is to be the cheerleader, the water boy, or to maybe make the assist. That's the best, the best part. The best role you'll get in that system is to pass the ball so somebody else can dunk it. Some of your kids are smart enough where they should be dunking the ball themselves, but they have to understand that the system's not designed to give them the ball. So economically speaking, I think that when we get in these corporations that we work for, we get these funky little jobs that treat us like crap, make us second-class citizens, leave us at the bottom of the barrel, don't give us opportunities, keep us at the back of the bus. You have to be able to figure out what your move is going to be. And I like, since we're talking about sports, I like sports analogy. I literally think about sports in terms of regular life, because I told you I love sports. I'm not just pretending. And I can tell you that a person who has different moves is very, very hard to play defense on. White supremacy is your defense. White supremacy is the defensive line. White supremacy is the defensive system that's designed to stop you. And the more moves you have, the more plays you can run, the more things you can do, the more likely you are to get past the defense. But if your only move is fill out an application and get a better job, or if your only move is let me find a white man that'll hire me, or if your only move is, gosh, I hope that these corporations will treat me right when I get that job, then you're going to kind of have a lot of frustration. You just are, and I think that they train us as kids to just depend on the system because they don't want you going nowhere. They need you. They need you the same way ESPN needs all these Negroes that they have on these shows. They do. They need these black guys. Without these, seriously, give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about. Without these brothers, this show does not have legitimacy. Skip Bayless is smart. Skip Bayless knows that having these three black men on this show makes him relevant. It brings him back. It gives him credibility. They need you. So they need you to believe that you need them. But I'm here to tell you right now, I don't think you need them as much as you think you need them. I'm just telling you, you really think Richard Sherman needed a Skip Bayless to become Richard Sherman? You think Michael Irvin needed a Skip? No. So I just really think overall, that you have to see your value the same way they see your value. You can't believe that your worth is less than the worth that they are able to extract from you. This show is paying these guys. I'm sure each guy is getting paid well. I'm going to guess maybe theoretically each guy might, let's say each guy's getting $4 to $5 million a year. I don't know what they're getting paid, right? Each guy, let's say, Skip makes 6. He's the white guy. Of course, he's going to get the most because that's just how they do stuff, right? Let's say Irvin and the other 3. Let's be generous. Let's say they each get $5 million. Shannon Sharpe only got 3. But let's say they each get 5. I don't think they get 5, but let's say they each get 5. That's 15 plus 6. That's 21 million. Do you know how much shows like this make per year? Do you know how much revenue they generate? Do you know how much money networks like ESPN and Fox Sports and all that stuff? Do you know how much money they bring in? In fact, I saw a number. I think they said something like it was something crazy. Now this is network wide. Now this is kind of a biased number, right? But do you know ESPN? If I'm not mistaken, ESPN. I saw a number somewhere that said ESPN makes something like $500 million a month or more or something. But you know what? Let me double check. Or maybe it's almost $1 billion. Here, let's see. In the first half, Disney Cable Networks divisions led by ESPN generated $14 billion in revenue and $3 billion in profit. But that's all of Disney's cable networks. Okay, so let's see here. Is ESPN profitable for Disney? The sports juggernaut. Now this is ESPN though. This is not Fox Sports, right? So I can look up Fox Sports because Undisputed is on Fox Sports, but ESPN has first take. So he said the sports juggernaut continues to earn billions of dollars for Disney, but profits are down and opportunities for growth have dwindled. That's why ESPN had all those layoffs. If you remember, the reason that these guys are going over to Fox Sports or going over to Undisputed is because ESPN had to lay a lot of people off because Disney was overspending. Their shareholders are giving a lot of pushback for overspending their money. But overall, I don't know. Let me see if I can find ESPN quarterly revenue. Let me see if I can find anything that comes up here. All right, so let's see. ESPN quarterly revenue. It says, okay, Yahoo Finance says ESPN used to be Disney's cash cow. Now its revenue is declining, and Bob Iger is looking to sell a stake. Let's see if I can find any numbers here. ESPN has long been a reliable moneymaker of the media and entertainment giant. In the first half of 2023, Disney's cable networks, led by ESPN, generated $14 billion and $3 billion in profits. We already know that. The profit dropped by 29%. Okay, we know that. I want to see if they will break out ESPN's numbers specifically, but I guess they haven't done that yet. But overall, so they make $14 billion from all their cable networks. ESPN is the leader in that group, right? So let's say ESPN generates, $2, $3, $4, $5 billion a year. Well, if you're making money at that level, it's nothing to pay a host $5 million a year. Right, it's nothing to pay 3 hosts in a row, $5 million each. Okay, yeah, here's your $20 million. We're going to keep the other $1 billion or whatever, or $500 million that we make from this show. And so ultimately, there's a lot of value being extracted there. These guys are great brands. They have tremendous brand value. And I really want to see more scenarios where there are some of these platforms that are actually owned by Black people and Black men. Also, I want to see more scenarios where there's actual industry developed for Black people. Every NFL player, NBA player, whatever you are, rapper, whatever, these people are blessed. They get a lot of opportunities. They get a chance to really do great things. And I really think that overall, from a systematic standpoint, we as Black people have to begin to shift the culture where those who are blessed with those opportunities feel compelled to go create thousands of opportunities for other people. That you go and you say, okay, I'm successful, I'm doing well, I'm making money, but how do I structure some sort of institutional framework that allows lots of people to make money? My business does well, but how do I set up a situation where dozens of businesses are doing well, right? And this is not something I just talk about. It's something I do. Like when we were talking about the whole things with the Tulsa Fund and all that, I said, look, I've supported dozens and dozens of Black-owned businesses because I knew that my success should not just be my success. If my success is just my success, then that means everything that I'm worth, everything I've accomplished, everything I've contributed, it dies when I die. I don't want to die. I want to live forever. And so I would say that any of these guys they're doing these great things, I encourage them to get together, understand their total brand value, and figure out scenarios where you can actually be the boss and be the owner. And you don't have to have the white guy let you in the door in order for you to be on TV, or maybe you're not on TV. Maybe you're on the internet or something. I don't know. I know I'd watch these guys if they were doing a show on YouTube or something like that. Right. So long story short, this is what I'm seeing, and I don't have anything against the show. I think it's fine, but I'm gonna be honest with you also. I think that anybody out here that's really hustling, if you're really trying to achieve your goals, you shouldn't be sitting around watching a whole lot of TV. Focus on what you're doing, not just so much what they're doing. Count your money, not just Jerry Jones's money, and look at your life with your kids and making plays in your life rather than focusing so much on what somebody else is doing on TV. Because when the Cowboys or the Jets or the Giants win a championship, ain't none of them people sending you a check. Ain't none of those people going to help you pay no bills. Ain't none of those people going to give you anything to move your life forward. So just be really thoughtful about how much you spend cheerleading other people's success versus how much you spend getting with your team, your squad, fighting your battles, playing the game that's on your field so you can have your own success, right? So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done that yet. Let me see the researchers. The researcher does all the work, so these guys just show up and talk and make an NFL salary to do so. They do. That's nice. It's a nice job. It's not a bad job. Let's see here. The Dr. Vibe Show. Let's see. I see you in here, brother. Good for you. Somebody says Skip is relevant regardless. Stop it. Okay. Skip is not bad. I've listened to him for years. He's good. Let's see. Man, LeBron destroyed that system. Come on, bro. You sound ridiculous. Well, I don't know. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate your positive energy. All right, let's see here. Next, let's see. Dr. Vibe says, why can't black athletes and entertainers form their own networks and shows? I think that some of it comes down to a lack of it's culture. It's economic culture. So in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I talk about the fact that your outcomes, a large part of your outcome in life economically is determined by how you were raised. So if you are raised in a culture that doesn't talk about business ownership, then you probably won't own a business. If you're raised in a culture that doesn't talk about the accumulation of power, well, guess what? You won't have much power. If you're raised in a culture that doesn't talk about investing, then guess what? You're not going to be much of an investor, right? A lot of guys that play football at a high level, think about this. The guys that play football at a high level, they probably got introduced to football when they were like 4. Right, give me a guess if you know what I'm talking about. It got guys that play basketball in the NBA. They were probably introduced to basketball before they could walk, right? So if you want to win the game of economics, your child has to be introduced to economic power before they're 4 or 5 years old. Most of these little guys, like the Sumner Redstones, the family that owns BET, stuff like that, they get introduced to economics early because they don't have any illusions that they're going to go to the NFL or the NBA. The idea or the dream that of playing a sport for life and making millions of dollars playing a sport, that's a pipe dream that only black men really adopt en masse. Little Jewish kids don't grow up typically thinking that way, but they do grow up. They don't grow up thinking about becoming an athlete. They grow up thinking about how to own an athlete. Right. So ultimately, I encourage you to understand positioning is everything. And so when you talk about how you raise your kids economically, put that in their head early. Don't get them caught up in the stuff that everybody else gets caught up in, because what happens is that when you have all these athletes, all these 10 million black boys all trying to get, 200 jobs or whatever in the NFL or the NBA, then you have millions and millions of wasted talent, millions and millions of boys that don't know what to do with themselves because they can't play sports anymore. And what I encourage you to understand is that sports is a transferable skill. When I couldn't, run track in college, I wanted to run track in college. I wasn't fast enough. Thank God I wasn't. When I couldn't run track in college, I just took the same skill, planning, energy, and whatever, and hard work it took to play a sport, and I applied it to my academics. And so I became an academic athlete, and I became one of the best on campus. I had the highest grade point average of every single student on my entire campus. And so ultimately, effectively, what I'm saying to you is that all these skills that these little boys have, they can do a million different things. It is much, much easier to be a doctor or a lawyer than it is to be an NFL player. Believe me, I just got finished chatting on Twitter with Myron Rolle. Myron Rolle is Dr. Myron Rolle now. He was drafted in the NFL. He was an All-American at Florida State. He passed up the NFL for a couple of years so he could go become a Rhodes Scholar. And Myron hit me up on Twitter. I don't really reach out to people that often. He reached out to me and we started talking. And I told you, I said, man, I have a lot of respect for you because you showed people that the same thing that made you great on the field can also make you great off the field. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what a black man's made of. That's who we are. That is who we are. We are the gladiator and we are the scientist. We can be the big, strong goon if we want to be, but we can also be the brilliant, super smart, intelligent, creative strategist, right? We can run the 40-yard dash in 4.4 seconds, but we can also get a perfect score on the SAT. Why does one have to supersede the other? Why does being good at sports have to mean that you can't be great at everything? That's all I'm simply saying. And I think that as black men, we should take that personally, right? So anybody out here who's a football coach or a community leader or you work at the community center with the little boys, tell them that, we're going to work hard on the field, but we're going to work triple hard off the field, right? We're going to, the same energy we put into winning football games, we're going to put this into winning the game of economics. We're going to start businesses while we're doing our football camps so that when these guys get older and they say, man, I wasn't fast enough to make the team at the college level, but I can't still hang with my boys who are going to the NFL, and I can become the manager, the lawyer, the agent, or whatever, or start some business that benefits from the multi-billion-dollar sports industry so that they're not stuck in a space where they're surrounded by strangers who don't actually love them. So that's what I believe. That's my 2 cents. And I think LeBron James is a great exception to the rule. Unfortunately, there should be more LeBron Jameses. So I don't have any issue with what LeBron is doing. I love what LeBron's doing. I think he's doing exactly what we talk about here. But y'all know the truth. A lot of guys don't do that. A lot of guys are not doing that, right? So we have to do more of that. Anyway, all right, so I'm out of here. Do me a favor, thumbs up, share, subscribe. BoyceWatkins.com. I have a special Telegram channel for Black investors. You can go to drboycetelegram.com to join that. Or also, I send out profit alerts in terms of stocks that I'm buying, things like that. If you'd like to get those sent to you via text, just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. Also, I'll be in Los Angeles on the 8th of September and the 9th for a 2-day Black Wealth Training Camp. And I'm also going to be in Austin for the Wealth and Power Summit at the end of September. And in addition to that, we got the All Black National Convention happening shortly after. So if you want to get some free stuff or know about some of these events, just go to BoyceWatkins.com. And don't forget, this podcast is on Spotify. So just look up my name. You can find it there. All right, everybody, hit that thumbs up button on your way out. I'm gone. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. And I wish Michael Irvin and Richard Sherman and Keyshawn good luck on their show. And I wish Shannon Sharpe the best as well. So I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Please, none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.